Welcome into the Chiefs Report. I'm your host, Harrison Graham. Here is what is coming up on today's show. Could Kansas City go out and trade for Kadarius Toney? Reports suggest that he is on the trading block with the Giants. Also, 10 players the Chiefs can sign in free agency before the NFL draft begins this Thursday. I'll take a look at a few guys that spark my interest. And plus, help us out. Let's get to 29,000 subscribers before the NFL draft does begin on Thursday night. We're less than 300 away at 28,729. So help a brother out. Subscribe if you continue to want daily Chiefs videos here on the Chiefs Report. All right, let's start with Kadarius Toney, who, according to reports, the Giants are open to trading the embattled wide receiver. Did not attend Giants voluntary minicamp and, was a first-round pick last year. And quite frankly, I don't think has met a NFL franchise's expectations for what it means to be a football player. Hasn't gotten in any legal trouble, at least that we know of, during his time in the NFL. But character concerns, lack of work ethic, it's a new regime. You didn't have a great rookie year. You're not showing up to minicamp. I mean, it's voluntary. I understand all that. But at the same time, it's just like, come on, man. Just show up, right? So I don't know if a team is already thinking about trading a guy. Does it make sense to trade for him after 1 year? I guess if you can get him for cheap, you could talk me into it, but I'm not sure. And then he goes on Instagram, sees all these reports, and says this: "You're going to hurt your own damn feelings trying to hurt mine. I don't give a bleep about nothing." So you don't care about anything. That's a little concerning. I mean, that's concerning for a lot of reasons, but it's very concerning for an NFL franchise being like, this dude doesn't care about anything in life. Why would he care about producing for my football team? Now, that being said, the Chiefs have a history of taking risks on talented football players. Andy Reid has done it throughout his career. He believes in second chances. The Chiefs are a franchise that have done that as well. They take risks that they deem worthwhile. I mean, just some of the recent ones in recent years, they drafted Tyreek Hill, who got kicked out of Oklahoma State and ended up at West Alabama. That one paid off pretty well, I'd say. Traded for Frank Clark. It's been, up and down for him, but you probably don't win a Super Bowl without him, so I would say that one has paid off. You drafted Willie Gay Jr., who had some character concerns in college. Time will tell, but I think he's shown some good things. And then they also signed DeAndre Baker, who had a lot of issues after his one season with also the New York Giants. Wouldn't really say he's met his potential, but the point being is Kansas City is not afraid to take a chance on a guy. Maybe Kadarius Toney is that next risk that Brett Veac takes a gamble on. All right, so what do you think? Should the Chiefs trade for Kadarius Toney? Type T for trade, type P for pass. Get your votes in down in the comment section. All that being said, I would probably pass, but I'm curious to see where Chiefs Kingdom comes in on this one. Now, Kadarius Toney last year at times showed some potential, only played in 10 games, had some injuries, 39 catches, 420 yards. Didn't find the end zone, albeit that Giants offense was a joke. Different quarterbacks. Jason Garrett was calling plays most of the season, so take that for what it's worth as well. He's certainly electrifying in the open field. I mean, he fits what the Chiefs have done a lot of the time at wide receiver, speedy guys, and you plug him in here. If he's fully engaged and locked in, his potential, I think, is better than a guy like Mecole Hardman's. That being said, there's a lot of red flags. There's a lot of question marks. Is he driven to meet that potential? I don't know. I just do not know. I personally would pass, like I said, but the Chiefs have 12 draft picks this year, so if they want to throw him one of their third-round picks, I guess it would be, a gamble that's not, a massive gamble. Worst case scenario, you lose a third. Best case scenario, you've got a cornerstone piece on offense. I just think that there's a better chance this guy's out of the league in 3 years than he is balling out for a team. Just my projection at this point in time. I'd love to be proven wrong, and I'd love to look back at this video 3 years from now, and if he's balling out for the Chiefs, be like, hey, I'm glad they took a chance. I personally wouldn't do it, but pretty good chance that some NFL team will. We'll have to wait and see. Now, we're going to take a look at those top 10 free agent targets in just a moment before the NFL draft for Kansas City, which, speaking of, we will be live for all 7 rounds of the NFL draft on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel. Link is right there, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Subscribe. Join us. Mark your calendars. Draft gets going, I believe, at 8 o'clock Eastern on Thursday night. We'll be live at 6 Eastern, getting you guys ready for the NFL Draft Round 1, and then we'll be live on Friday for Rounds 2 and 3, and then, yes, unlike a lot of other channels, we'll be live for Day 3 as well on Saturday. Subscribe, join us. It's going to be a good time. All right, let's get to those free agent targets. How about DeSean Jackson, who was in the news, in the headlines recently, as he came out and said, yeah, I might be done, I might retire, but there's a few teams that I would consider playing for. Chiefs are a team that he listed as a team that he would play for. I can't remember all the other ones. I know he mentioned the Browns, a couple others as well, but Kansas City was on that list for him. And, hey, I mean, last year for the Raiders, he hit on some big plays. You look at, again, at the receiver depth chart, which we just took a look at when we were talking Kadarius Toney. I mean, number 4 receiver, go run 10 go routes a game, maybe you hit one every other game. DeSean Jackson can still run. He hit some big plays last year for the Raiders. It was a nice little addition for him. Now, he's not a full-time starter. He's not a guy you want to give 75% of snaps to, but you bring him in, he competes. He's a deep threat that rotates in. I think that would be an interesting addition, especially if he's a guy that you could get for the veteran minimum. Should the Chiefs sign DeSean Jackson? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Obviously, the Andy Reid connection as well. DeSean Jackson could make some sense. Curious to see where you guys weigh in on this one. Let's go big fish hunting. Jadeveon Clowney, the edge rusher from the Cleveland Browns. Something we've talked about consistently this offseason is got to get better off the edge, got to get pass rushers. Chiefs haven't really addressed that this offseason. Clowney would help. I mean, there's just no way around it. Don't know what his market is. There was a report out there that the Browns offered him $12 million a year. He hasn't signed yet, so if that's true, he probably wants more like $15 a year. Chiefs would probably have to move some money around to make that happen. But you plug him in on this front four, he's better than Frank Clark. That's just a fact. If you disagree, I disagree with you. Frank Clark's not a good run stopper. Clowney is, and the way Clark has produced as a pass rusher, Clowney is probably at least on that level in that regard as well. I'd love to bring him into Kansas City. This is a sneaky name that we haven't talked about much, and I was, checking the list of names of guys who are still available, and I was like, man, I should talk about him on the Chiefs Report. Ndamukong Suh, who's still good at 35 years old. Guys, 12 sacks the past 2 years. 6 sacks last year, 6 sacks the year before. He gets pressure as an interior guy. He's still really good, and he's only going to keep playing if it's for a contender. I think he would like to go back to the Bucs, but if they don't bring him back, maybe the Chiefs could. Imagine him next to Chris Jones. That would be a lot of fun for Kansas City. Another interior defensive lineman, Larry Ogunjobi from the Cincinnati Bengals. He had 7 sacks as an interior pass rusher last year. But keep in mind that the Chicago Bears signed him to or verbally agreed to a deal with him, 3 years, $40.5 million. But he failed his physical with the Bears. So he's still a free agent, remains unsigned. He's been working out. He's been posting photos of doing all of that stuff, but at this point in time, he remains available. But if he can, pass a physical, he had that foot surgery this offseason for a cheap 1-year deal. I like him a lot. I think he's still a guy that has a lot of potential. All right, Joe Haden next up here, veteran corner who certainly isn't what he was, but you still haven't replaced Charvarius Ward. I think you could bring him in. I think he's probably better than DeAndre Baker. Maybe you sign Haden, draft a corner as well, and then you've got a pretty good group along with Rashad Fenton and L'Jarius Sneed. Now, name a free agent that you don't want the Chiefs to sign. I want to hear it from you guys, a name that's still out there that you are not interested in. Get your votes in down in the comments. That player for me is Earl Thomas. I don't want Earl Thomas. He apparently wants back in the NFL, hasn't played since 2019 when the Ravens cut him due to insubordination. He also, I think he punched, Bud Clark, Tom? Is that Chuck Clark is the guy he punched, and Baltimore was like, yeah, we're going to cut you because teammates were like, we're not doing that. Also had some off-field concerns, had a weird sexual encounter with his brother involved. I mean, that was a whole story. So you have that going on. I don't know, man. He also hasn't played in over 2 years. Like, is Earl Thomas at 33 years old without playing the last 2 seasons any good? Probably not. I'm not that interested in him. I don't think a team will sign him. Maybe I'm wrong. But what would change now that hasn't changed in the last 2 years? Just because his agent leaked out that he wants to return to the NFL? I guess. We'll see what happens. But, If this was 4 years ago, hell yes. Right now, I'm going to pass. How about Julio Jones, who remains unsigned after the Tennessee Titans released him due to cap reasons? Look, let's call a spade a spade. Injuries have derailed his career a little bit here. That's why he's gone into a bit of a fast decline. Doesn't mean he can't play at all. I still think he can. Just know if you bring him on board, he's probably going to miss games. He's not what he was 4 years ago. But the Chiefs have a good depth of receivers. So if he's, a guy that's your number 3, okay, I could be interested in Julio Jones. Jarvis Landry, a guy who's certainly worthy of starting, but he's primarily a slot. I think Juju's going to play a lot of slot, so I don't know about the fit. Also, I think he wants too much money. There was a report saying that he wanted $20 million per year. That ain't happening, but even 10 to 12 is still too much for me. Could you get him for like 8 or less? Okay, I'm interested at that point, but at this point in time, it doesn't sound like Jarvis Landry is going to settle for a small contract, but I think eventually he's going to have to. Pick a receiver, 2 different type of players, type JJ for Julio Jones, type JL for Jarvis Landry. Let us know who you would rather sign if you are the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, last 2 players. KJ Wright, the linebacker, spent last year with Vegas. Played pretty well, I thought, quite frankly. And I'm a little surprised he remains unsigned. I think he could be LB3 behind Willie Gay and Nick Bolton. You cut Anthony Hitchens, so you still would like to have that veteran presence there. I think KJ Wright could be that guy for this football team. And then Melvin Ingram, who remains unsigned. Chiefs traded for him at the deadline last year. I thought he played pretty well for Kansas City. He made that huge play in the Broncos game to blow up Javonte Williams and scoop and score going the other way. I'm open to bringing back Ingram. Now, I don't think running it back for Frank Clark and Melvin Ingram as your primary edge rushers and thinking you're good to go is the way to go. But bring him back, draft a guy in the 1st or 2nd round, maybe add another piece. Okay, you've got a nice little deep rotation there coming off the edge at that point in time. So there you go, 10 players that I'm open to signing in free agency before the draft starts on Thursday. Who would you like to see the Chiefs add before the draft is here? Let's get it going in the comments section. And hey, be sure to subscribe for more videos.